actividades del 15 Festival de Películas Nativas, del 6 al 15 de noviembre en www.aricanativa.cl.
Dormí poco anoche. Soñé que me escapaba, que llegaba a una isla. Arica Nativa.
Comunidad nativa, muy buenas noches. Estamos en nuestra 8ª jornada de Arica Nativa 2020. Este año tenemos más de 120 películas para disfrutar en nuestra página web. Solo deben ingresar en www.aricanativa.cl y disfrutar de nuestras 10 categorías en competencia. Es muy sencillo. En el menú deben hacer clic en competencia, eligen la categoría de películas que más les gusta y ya pueden comenzar a disfrutar del mejor cine nativo. Acabamos de presentar la selección 2020 de Malcu Cortos con las películas que compiten este festival. Para comenzar, quiero saludar a quienes hacen posible Arica Nativa, a Fundación Altiplano, al Ministerio de las Culturas, las Artes y el Patrimonio, a Fundación Gabriel y Mari Mustakis y a Fundación Konrad Adenauer. Este año Arica Nativa está realizando una campaña para ir en ayuda de las y los ganaderos de la comuna de General Lagos. Para quienes quieran apoyar, pueden ingresar en aricanativa.cl/ayuda y aportar con lo que puedan. Recuerden que están abiertas las inscripciones a las actividades del festival y que todo nuestro programa lo pueden seguir en directo por aricanativa.cl. Hoy nos encontramos para escuchar la charla de un gran maestro de la cinematografía mundial, creador de documentales y películas de ficción que han quedado inscritas en la historia del cine. Antes de comenzar, quiero contarles que la charla será traducida en vivo en español y en lenguaje de señas, así que no se preocupen por el idioma. Les recuerdo a quienes nos acompañan que pueden dejar sus preguntas en el chat de Zoom o en los comentarios de nuestras redes sociales y al final podremos compartirlas con nuestro invitado. Invito a Daniela Segarra, productora de nuestra Escuela Nativa, para que dé el vamos a esta jornada. Bienvenida, Daniela.
Hola Claudia, muy buenas noches a todas y todos quienes nos acompañan en esta transmisión. Para nosotros como festival es un honor tener esta actividad que está enmarcada en la Escuela de Películas Nativas, una escuela que está hecha para nuevos realizadores indígenas y del mundo. Ahora quiero dejar a Ariel, voy a hacer una breve presentación de él. La forma más apropiada de presentar a Ariel sería que siempre está flotando en diferentes mares, con sus antecedentes culturales mezclados y siempre dedicado a encontrar dentro de las multitudes guías especiales que han elegido compartir con él su experiencia. Su natural sentido de la curiosidad lo lleva a echar sus raíces en América del Sur. socio fundador del Servicio de Producción de The Roots y miembro activo de la Junta Directiva de la Asociación de Empresas de Producción de Servicios APSP Chile durante los últimos 5 años. Ariel León va a ser quien va a estar moderando esta charla, así que bienvenido, Ariel.
Halala, halala, everyone. Firstly, I would like to both thank you and congratulate Arica Nativa Festival and the Altiplano nonprofit organization for their continued dedication to bringing us films and stories that are such important cultural treasures. The respect and appreciation for voices of this generation and those that have come before maintain such a vital part for our creative society. Today, we are here to celebrate a person who needs little introduction. His voice alone has become synonymous with the very spirit of passion and adventure. If I was to turn off the camera, his voice would steer the most fugitive lands in your imagination, and you would soon feel, as he does, so profoundly, that everything is possible. He was born in Bavaria, Germany, the ancient kingdom of the extravagant Ludwig II. In a career spanning 50 remarkable years, he has written 4 books, directed 21 narrative features, 7 short films, and 33 documentary features, as well as 8 documentary short films and episodes of 2 television shows. As if this is not itself an overwhelming testament to how this man has chosen to express his vision, I should like to add that it is with a great pride and humility I call him a mentor and also a friend. Please welcome Werner Herzog.
Muchas gracias, Ariel. Hemos trabajado junto en el sur de Chile, Punta Arenas y la isla Navarino. Pero primero quiero agradecer a el gran tropero 2020, el Festival de Arica Nativa, y también un poncho que ha llegado hace 3 días. Es una maravilla de la gente indígena de Aymara. En un pueblo fabrican eso en Arica, en la zona de Arica. Es muy, muy, muy lindo. Mira de alpaca. Hecho de alpaca.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for this great honor. Appreciate it.
Amazing.
All right.
Werner,
we'll speak English and Spanish, whatever is coming along.
English, as we have a translator that is live with subtitle in the live webinar. So just to give another point, of course, we wanted this webinar to be about your search for stories within different cultures, running around every corner of the world, right? And today I can even say beyond, if you know what I'm talking about, with the new movie that it was premiered today.
Yes, on Friday the 13th. It's pretty much worldwide on Apple Plus, which is one of the very big platforms, streaming platforms. It's Fireball, Visitors from Darker Worlds. It's a film on meteorites. And I have crazy days behind me of non-stop interviews. I had to do interviews for Hong Kong and Australia and India and Brazil and France, and you just name it.
Amazing.
But I still maintain my sanity. Tengo mi sanidad.
Yes. I wanted to ask you something. Since you mentioned a couple of years ago that you've been in Chile, you already released 3 films, including this last one, right? The Nomad in the Footsteps of Bruce Chatwin, Family Romance LLC, and today, Friday the 13th, fireball visitors from darker worlds. We want the secret. We want to know the source of energy. Where do you get so much energy and ideas to continue creating and execute films and projects?
It's always the vehemence with which projects are coming at me. I have not had a career in my life. The career would mean you select your projects and you are planning. You are looking for the New York Times bestseller list, which is a good book that I can transform into a movie. It has never functioned like this. Films have come to me with great vehemence, sometimes dangerous vehemence, like waking up in the night and there are burglars in your kitchen. 5 burglars, all of them, and I mean all of them movie projects, and one of them comes with an axe towards you, so you have to deal with that one first. So it's not that I have planned a career. It always was something where I understood that I had to follow what was so obvious. Sometimes there's stories that are so big that I have no choice.
Amazing, thank you. And can we go deeper a little bit? Because I find it, because I know a little bit of the stories behind, but I'm sure it can be very inspiring for everybody that's listening to us right now. A little bit about the story of Family Romance LLC. I think there is something very profound there, a decision, and really a different process.
Ariel, you know that I run the Rogue Film School.
Yes.
It's a wild guerrilla style sort of film school, completely in contrast to what you see worldwide in film schools. It's about taking your destiny in your own hand and making your films out of necessity. And Family Romance was brought to me through one of the former students of the Rogue Film School. His name is Rock Morin, an American and a very fine writer. And he sent me an article he had written about a company in Japan that rents out friends, rents out, let's say, a groom or a bride for weddings. So immediately knew this was very big. And Rock, I said to him, you have to make a film, you have to make a film. But he didn't feel ready. And I said, it has to be done. Can I do it then? He said, I have no problem. You do it. So I started to get into it, and it was done very, very quickly. From the moment I ever heard of this rental company till the moment I started filming was only 3 months. There was just barely a screenplay financed out of my own pocket. Very, very small amount of footage shot. And I'm speaking now to young filmmakers who may listen in and see me here. My heart always sinks when somebody comes, a young filmmaker, I have shot 650 hours of footage and I'm editing since 2 years. You see, the profession doesn't allow this. It's too expensive. It's too long. And in most of the cases, they do not know what they are doing. And they keep rolling the camera. The camera is rolling, rolling, rolling. And I keep saying that you have seen it, Ariel, with my cinematographer. I said to him, turn it off, turn the camera off. We have done the essential here. And he said, yeah, but there are some people standing by. Why don't we film them as well? I said, no, stop the camera. We are filmmakers. We are creators. We are filmmakers and not garbage collectors. So and translated to family romance, the entire footage, the grand total footage was 320 minutes. I'm saying minutes, not 320 hours. The film is 100 minutes or 90 minutes long. So it's I shot what I really needed for the film. Very often I had no chance to repeat because we had no shooting permits. And we went anyway. We went to high security areas like the bullet train platforms. Nobody is allowed to go there for filming, but I had a very small camera that nobody took seriously, but it was a high caliber 4K digital camera. And we knew we could shoot the scene there only once. While I was shooting, within 30 seconds, security people came, but 4 of them, but they didn't know what to do and they called for backup. And while they were calling for backup, in a little bit more than 1 minute, I had shot the scene and we walked away in 7 different directions. That's what you have to learn as a young filmmaker. And I'm still functioning like a very young one.
Of course, yes. Sometimes you said some small sentences to me that gave me a lot of energy when I felt even tired. So yes, so I really feel it, and that's why I mentioned that I feel that you have like a sort of secret. Maybe it comes from reading, as you say. Maybe it comes from the passion and adventure. And family romance is, as you said, you finance it from your own pocket. It's like a shout out to everybody that stories are all around and you just need to go out and do something, right?
Yeah. Today you can shoot a feature film for big theaters on your cell phone. They've become so good and they stabilize your image and you have various lenses. So you could even, I do not recommend it, but you can shoot a credible feature film on your cell phone. You can edit your film on your laptop. I'm sitting here at my laptop. You can edit it. You can work very fast in the digital domain. And today, people always say, the industry, film industry is so stupid. They do not discover me. They do not finance my new film, my idea. And I say, stop complaining. I don't like the culture of complaint. And I say, just for $5,000, you can make a 1.5 hour documentary. And for $15,000, $20,000, you can make a feature film for movie theaters, a professional big feature film. And I'm saying that not just throwing figures at you, I'm saying that because I made Family Romance, and you can find it also on one of the platforms, Mubi, M-U-B-I. And my proof, I'm proving it.
Yes, exactly. I think during this Family LLC, as you said, was premiered in Mubi, that we all saw it here also in South America, right?
Yes, you can see it in South America as well, but it was premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. It was in the official selection. You see a film that starts so big and on a very big screen in Cannes. Yes. So it's not amateur work that I'm doing, and you can do very, very professional work with very, very small instruments nowadays.
Of course. Talking about the present time and talking about you as a traveler, how do you face a world landscape where it may not be easy to shoot outdoors and travel as before? Or these are just minor fears that are present today, but will go away in some time. What do you feel about it?
In a way, I'm glad because I have traveled too much. Ariel, for Bruce Chatwin, for Nomad, I had to film in Australia and in the United Kingdoms and in Chile and in Argentinian Patagonia. That's already too much. And for the film on meteorites, they come down everywhere. Statistically speaking, they come down over the oceans or over Antarctica. So we were shooting in Antarctica, in Australian outback, and in France, and in the United States, and everywhere. It's awful to be in airplanes all the time. And for the previous film I made with Clive Oppenheimer, my co-director, professor of volcanology at University of Cambridge, we were shooting about volcanoes, and you have volcanoes everywhere, in Chile and in Alaska and in China, and we've even filmed in North Korea, and we filmed for this in Antarctica. So, and that's too much. We are not made for these quick travels and culture shocks. What I like is to do a film like, let's say, Fitzcarraldo. I have to go to Amazonia, and I spend a long time with local people. I'm working with people there. I have to build a ship, or actually two identical ships, and it has to be moved over a mountain in the jungle. And it takes a long time, and that's how we should function and how I should continue. So the next projects, I try to avoid this crazy traveling.
Hopping between different places, maybe more dedicated to one place and one culture.
Yeah.
Going to the education side, what can you, like, I want a kind of comparison, because you mentioned your own school where you are part of, and the other film school. I think that there are something very essential in the way that you believe that film schools should be.
It should be much wilder, and for the Rogue Film School, I say, I will teach you, among other things, how to pick a safety lock, or how to falsify, how to forge a document, like a shooting permit. But of course, it is more a tendency to listen to the problems and the obstacles they have, and where can I be of help? And it has been in recent 2 or 3 years, I have preferred to do workshops. I've done a workshop for young filmmakers in the Peruvian jungle near Puerto Maldonado. And I was planning for this April and May this year, but it had to be canceled. I was planning to do a workshop with over 40 young filmmakers from 28 countries. 28 countries. And they all have to make a film within 9 days. On the 10th day, they have to show their films, but very short ones, of course, 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes. But while they are shooting, and they have to, they are not allowed to come with a little screenplay. I give them the basic framework or basic subject. In Puerto Maldonado, I told them in the first meeting, invent a story or invent a documentary, and the frame is fever dreams in the jungle. So they immediately had to do something. They had to cast their films with local people. They had to find locations. I would take them around to locations. They had to all shoot their own films, and they had to edit their films on their laptop. So they were already professionals or young professionals. And the results were incredibly beautiful. And they're still sticking together. Yesterday I got an email, 20 of them now have made a feature film together.
Yeah.
So that's how it should be.
Exactly.
Do not waste 4 years in film school, which costs a lot of money, and you can learn the essentials of what you are doing as a filmmaker. You can learn it in a week.
Amazing. Yes, yes. More dynamic, more under the pressure kind of theory that can improve us much better, right?
And common sense.
Yes.
Common sense to understand, and how to look deep into the soul of somebody, of an actor. You cannot learn in film school. See, there are certain things, or in documentaries, asking a question that is not scripted, and all of a sudden breaks open the heart of somebody. And would like to give you one example. I did films on death row in Texas, and I started with a priest who would assist the criminal during the execution. He would be present, and I filmed with him, and he had no time. He said, "Oh, quick! I have to be in the execution chamber in 20 minutes." And my heart sank because I thought I had 2 hours or so. No, 15 minutes. And he speaks like a TV preacher, like a very phony TV preacher, how beautiful God's world is, and the birds are singing, and sometimes early on the golf course, he sees a squirrel, or he sees a horse coming and looking at him, and he starts to preach, and my heart sank, and I said, "Oh my God, I don't want to hear this. I want to know, who is he?" So, and all of a sudden I stop him and I say, "Tell me about an encounter with a squirrel." And he stops, and all of a sudden he opens up, and he's a different man in front of the camera. Very, very deep. But you do not learn that in film school. You learn it in life. You learn it by traveling, by working with other people, whatever. You learn it by spending a night in jail. You just name it.
Yes. Thank you very much. As the festival and the organization is a lot about sustainability and about movies that are pushing into a better world, better behavior of the man. Can you speak a little bit about that, about the importance of doing those kind of films to really to push us towards that side and to make a change?
We have to be careful. Films do not change the world to become a better world. That's not within the reach, but we can aim at something more dignified, something more sublime, something more deep that touches our hearts, something that illuminates us. But Arica, you see, I immediately said, yes, I would like to be part of it, at least digitally now, because it is centered in Arica and has to do with native people, with people who have their own culture, their own language. I mean, most of them probably Aymara, and they do wonderful things like this poncho here. And we are losing cultures, we are losing languages. Every 10 days, we are losing one language forever. They fall into silence. My wife has worked a lot in this, and she has done a big, wonderful installation called Last Whispers. And she has done an installation or an oratorium of voices that only exists in tape recordings now, or voices of critically endangered languages. And you have that in your country, Chile. You have it there. Go to the south. There's still a few languages critically endangered, Selknam, and others. It is a catastrophe. It's a catastrophe that we are losing cultures and languages, like the last one who speaks Spanish. No more Calderon, no more the great poets, no more Goya, no more bullfighting or whatever. Or you lose the last Russian speaker, no more Tolstoy, no more Dostoevsky, no more Tchaikovsky, no more icon painters. So, and this catastrophe is so palpable, and we are too much focused. Oh yes, we have to look after endangered species of whales. Yes, we have, and we have a responsibility, but we overlook, we do not see the enormity of the losses that we are witnessing daily. We are losing languages faster than rare species of mammals, much faster. And this is why I think Arica is a beautiful conceptual idea.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to take advantage because you mentioned Lena. So Lena Herzog is an amazing photographer and the wife of Werner. For everybody that doesn't know her, she has her website and you can check her work. It's really amazing. I really recommend it. I want to try to get the squirrel example, but with you this time. Just a few minutes before we go to some questions from the public. And maybe I can tease your mind to tell us a story about two areas that I think that are general. There is more of Werner as a storyteller. Maybe it's something related with Japan, or maybe related with the start of you directing operas, just so people can have one story that they don't know.
Well, let's forget operas because there's the music is written and the libretti are written. So, but I'm fascinated in somebody whom I met in Japan, Hiro Onoda. He was the last soldier who surrendered 29 years after the end of the war, of the Second World War, still believing that the war was still on. And he translated everything he saw into the continuation of the war. For example, when the war had ended in 1945, 5 years, and he kept fighting. He was not just hiding. He was in a jungle on a small Philippine island, not very far from Manila Bay. And he had the task to hold this island for the return of the Imperial Army so that they could have launching bases to attack Manila Bay. And he would once in a while step out of the jungle and fire a shot over the heads of startled villagers to show I'm still here. And in the 1950s, he saw many, many aeroplanes, warplanes over his head going west. And he was sure, yes, war was still on. It only had moved further west, but that was the Korean War. And then in the 60s, even more planes and gigantic B-52 bombers would cross him, and naval battleships and aircraft carriers would pass his island and go west. And he saw it for years, and he knew the war was still going on. So, and that was the Vietnam War. And it took 29 years. I mean, actually, he was in the Second World War for 30 years until he was found by a young high school, university dropout who convinced him, yes, the war was over. And it's just an incredible story. And the man, I liked him a lot. And I'm writing about him at the moment because I do not venture out with a camera. But I have many, many great other stories. So it's
amazing.
You cannot follow up quickly enough.
Of course. course, but I really wanted that everybody will hear this name, that I feel that is a very special person, Hiro Onoda.
Yeah.
I have so many questions, I don't know how to choose because I was concentrated like everybody in the conversation with you. But I would like to give some time to the questions that I have.
Yeah.
So let's follow a few of them and I'll try to do them as much close question as possible, because we know there are some that are very open to discussion, a very long discussion. So first of all, I have Isaac Civilo that is asking, how important is the reading and study of the classics of philosophy, literature, and poetry in your cinema?
It's essential. Without reading, I would not make any good films. I keep preaching to young filmmakers, read, 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 read. And I have said that when I was in Santiago with my own writings. Yes, you will become a filmmaker without reading much, but you will never become a great filmmaker. You will remain a mediocre filmmaker at best. You have to read. All the great filmmakers nowadays that I know, Coppola, Errol Morris, you just name it, whoever is out there, they all read, read, read.
Amazing, thank you.
And one added thing, my sense for concepts or storytelling, for poetry, all comes from reading, not from movies.
Yes, perfect. We have Ernesto Molina Iberia, a production designer. He's asking, how do you conceive the aesthetics in documentary filming?
They are always, like in feature films, dictated by the subject. See, when I do a feature film like Even Dwarfs started small, también los enanos comenzaron desde pequeño. The subject dictates, so I'm not pondering how should we deal with aesthetics. Aesthetics comes automatically in my films. And it's in a similar way when you look at your own handwriting, your longhand, there's a style in it. And it comes because of your deep character. And if you enforce your style, let's say you are in love and you are writing a love letter to your novia, to your girlfriend, and you would all the time look after how nice you would do the handwriting, you wouldn't write a real good love letter. You see, the handwriting, the style of handwriting comes with your character, comes with your emotion, comes with what your soul is all about.
Thank you, thank you. I have Carolina Astudio. She's asking, how do you define the sound and music engineering in your films?
I have been very attentive to sound and in particular to music. I think there's no one of my colleagues who is as intensively into music as I am. And they are a very important part in my films. And you can look all the way back to my first films until today. It plays a large role. And I know that music, for example, can change or transform a world into images. That's actually what opera lyrica, what opera does. You have to transform an entire world into music. Then you have achieved opera. And if you transform an entire world into images and music, you can reach very, very deep. Very strange how music and sound function. And about sound in general, when I made my very, very first film, there were 10 young filmmakers, all 17, 18 years old, 19, and we helped each other. Out of 9 projects. Out of 9 projects, only 2 films were finished. my own film and a film of another friend. 7 failed because of sound problems. And it opened my eyes. Oh my God, it's so essential. And if you do not do sound right, if you do not pay attention, you have to create and form and shape the sound. Go out and collect a cornucopia, collect masses of ambiences. Go out for the birds that wake up in the morning and record them. Somehow you will use them in the film. You will always use what you collect, the beautiful things. So pay attention to sound if you are into filmmaking.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Amazing answer. Nicolas Sanhuesa. On previous occasions, you have already given your opinion about cinema on demand, but I wanted to ask you what you think about other trends such as interactive cinema or virtual reality as narrative tools.
Virtual reality, we have learned, does not function as a narrative tool because we are, strangely enough, we are focused in a story, in persons, in what they are doing. So it's more linear and in a singular view, not what happens behind you and around you and in the skies. And it's also very difficult. The medium does not really function for editing, because how do you edit something that is at your feet and in the skies and behind you and in front of you? I think there was a big hype about that virtual reality would be the new type of storytelling. It is not good for storytelling, but it is good for states. It's a status, a state. There's a wonderful French short film. I think it's called A State of Blindness. Just looking with somebody who gradually becomes blind. And it's not a story, it's a state, it's a progressive state. Then you will find it very good. It's fantastic for medical doctors who want to go through your arteries into the inner of your heart and look all around. How is your heart functioning? It's a wonderful tool for real estate salesperson who show you the house and they walk around the house and you can see, here's the kitchen, here's the bathroom, here's a big living room. So you can turn around and search the house. So, and let's go back to the more regular forms of distribution now. Streaming, of course, it has taken over much of what used to be cinema. It has started so long before the pandemic. It has grandiose possibilities. Many of my films can be found on the internet. And it's very young people who are reaching out to me now, but they would never see a film like The Enigma of Caspar Hauser in a theater in Santiago. They have to wait 20 years until maybe it shows up in retrospective. So, but films are available much more and much better than before. But of course, we quite often I see young kids seeing it on their little cell phones, which somehow they translate it into a bigger film. But sometimes I see and I hear that many of them see it at 1.5 times the speed or twice the speed. It's mind-boggling for me. You cannot do it easily with my films with the music. You cannot play the music twice the speed. So probably because there's millions and millions of tons of garbage out on the internet, on YouTube, and the kids are just rattling fast through the garbage until they find and stop and find a gem. So, but we have to be accustomed to new ways of viewing films.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
And
just
one more thing,
Yes.
one more thing, which is a great advantage vis-a-vis television. There are no commercials in between.
Yes, definitely. You mentioned Kasperhausen, and I have Sophia Downey asking, Claudia Pereira from Valparaiso. I apologize. Do
Yeah.
you think that the world you capture in your films has already expired?
No, when you look at films like Family Romance, and you see it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that a story takes place in the past. It illuminates very deeply our human condition. And it does not matter that Shakespeare writes Hamlet. Hamlet, a prince from Denmark, hundreds of years back in history, or he writes about, God knows, all sorts of historical figures. And it does not mean that they are outdated. He looks deep into language and into the human condition, and that's what I'm doing. You don't have to make films about contemporary people to try to find out who we are.
Thank you. To take a steer, Javier Urth is asking, how do you conceive it has to be an appropriate relation between filmmaking and politics? Is it true that any film, book, or artistic creative work has to be politic in any sense?
Oh, that's a discussion that has been put to rest in sometimes 1968, 1969 during the student rebellion and the riots in France. And so at that time, everybody told me, you have to make films with political content. Everything is political. And I said, no, politics are made not with movies. Politics are made with microphones, speakers, people who speak, who can speak out the emotions and the political sentiment of great amounts of other people. Politics is made with rifles, not with movies. So, of course, you can always squeeze a movie as hard as you can and find some political content. Yes, because we live here and now and some echo is in it. But it's a discussion which is popping up every 40, 50 years with more intensity. And I must say, it doesn't impress me.
Thank you. I have a last question, it is my question to you, but I know it's for many fans that are here, the newer fans that are present. It is actually refers to your work as an actor. In the first season of the Mandalorian series, you were practically the only recognizable face compared to other protagonists who were wearing a mask or helmet like the Mandalorian, or were puppets like the child. How was that experience apparently so different from the universes of your own films?
Well, I have done some other acting as well, and I was asked to be a participant in these films because I've been good as a villain. So whenever you have a character who is dark and mysterious and is not trustworthy at all and spreads fear, so I'm good at that. Although it's a performance. You see, people think, I must be a dark character, and so. But in private life, in my personal life, of course, I'm not. Lena, my wife, will tell you that I'm a fluffy husband. And we shouldn't overemphasize the Mandalorian. Ultimately, it was 4 professional days of filming. And it was very pleasant. And it showed me that new forms of cinema are possible that go beyond green screen now. So Jon Favreau, who is the mastermind behind all this, they had developed horizons, round horizons, where the actors and the camera see actually on which planet we are. And it doesn't have to be represented by a naked, empty green screen. So it's where cinema always has been and where it has returned to, in this case with complicated technology. And I enjoyed it. And what can I say? There are some other faces in the film, not only people that wear helmets. And I do believe that Jon Favreau wanted to show people he loves my films. He wanted to show people this is the man who made these films. This is how he looks like. But I don't know. You have to ask him. But it was a very pleasant 4 days of good professional work. I do not regret it a moment.
Thank you. I do have a question from a lady, Cristina Cáceres from Cusco, Peru. She said she's going to produce her first documentary film. She never been in film school. Can you please give her some advice, especially about crew and what's needed for her production?
Try to reduce your crew to a minimum and try to condense what you have to do. You will be more flexible. It will cost you less money. You will not need hotel rooms for 25 crew members. Have 2 or 3 only for documentaries. Well, it depends on what you are doing, so I cannot give a clear advice for that. But in general, stick to your vision. Stick to your culture. You're in Cusco. That's where the stories are. That's a wonderful, you have the most wonderful landscapes around you. You have the most beautiful and incredible historical monuments from the Incas. You have Sacsayhuamán. You have the temples. You have the Quechua-speaking population around. You are so rich already. Don't waste money on it. Just go roll up your sleeves and go for it. And I wish you best of luck. And all of the young people who might be watching here and are planning to do a film, best of luck to all of you. Just stick to your vision. Don't complain. Don't go to the culture. Don't stay in the culture of complaints. You can do it, and you see it all the time that out of nowhere, young people are coming and they make wonderful movies. I'm waiting for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Last question before I bring it to Daniela that want to present the thing that was sent to your house that people don't know what it is still.
Okay.
I have Rogelio Diaz that is asking, can we talk a little bit about your editing process and how do you manage it? Some tips from start to finish, from the pre-production to the editing process.
Well, much of the editing is done before I start shooting. Fireball, the film Meteorites, we had 35 different countries where we could have gone. Very interesting events, very interesting people. And we narrowed it down to 10 or 11. So that's already editing. Delete, delete, delete. Go for the essential things that you're actually showing in your film. And then editing goes very fast. My technique is I write logbooks, like a ship captain would do it on this day or in this minute, that and that is happening. And I write it down in longhand. And because I write it down not on a computer, I write it down in longhand, I can remember footage very intensely. And I go from the editing, I go from the beginning to the end. I hardly ever stop. I hardly ever look back. And you have to feel the urgency of your narration. That's how I function, and I try to edit as short time as possible. And I write my commentaries in documentaries while I'm editing spontaneously, and I have a microphone right next to me, a professional one, and I speak the text. And it turns out, oh, it's 5 seconds too long. It lapses over into a next chapter already. So I rephrase it, make it shorter, I speak it again, and here we are. So I move on very, very fast as I can, because you're not hanging around with dozens of hours of footage, and you cannot get rid of it. Of course, it's cruel with your own material that you have to leave things out. You have to learn it.
Thank you very much. So now, on behalf of time, and we still have 2 minutes, I want to pass the voice to Claudia and Daniela, that wants to present the special award they sent to you. So Claudia, thank you very much.
Muchas gracias a ti, Ariel, por este acompañamiento junto a Werner. Bueno, saludarlo fraternalmente de nombre de todo el equipo que estamos aquí en la producción, muy atentos a todo lo que se ha estado conversando, agradecer también las preguntas que se han ido generando desde el público. Sabemos que hay mucha gente conectada, pero antes de despedirnos, quisiera invitar a una persona muy importante, que es Magdalena Pereira, directora de la Fundación Altiplano, para entregar un saludo de cierre a esta charla. Por favor, Magdalena, vamos contigo.
Muchas gracias, Claudia. Aprovecho a saludarlas a todas, a todos. Y thank you so much, Werner, for sharing your wisdom with us. We have also that keyword we love, vehemencia, that is it, patient. No? So we also work a lot with that work, with that word. So la naturaleza que muestras en tu cine, ese llamado a la naturaleza, ¿no? Que el hombre busca ser parte, que a veces se traduce como locura, es algo que admiramos en las comunidades indígenas, ¿no? Que lo han resuelto hace mucho tiempo. Y es entonces que queremos hacernos parte de ese amor por el ser, ¿no? De ese amor por estar en armonía con nuestro entorno. Y como festival, como Fundación Altiplano, con esa admiración es con la cual trabajamos e intentamos ser parte de esta madre tierra que nos reúne. Y es por eso que quiero invitar, junto con volver a agradecerte, invitar a don Mariano Cutipa, uno de los fundadores del Festival Arica Nativa, a que te explique qué es lo que es el tropero, ¿no? El gran tropero que te hemos entregado con mucho orgullo y con mucho honor. Así que vamos a pedirle a don Mario sus palabras en aymara. Muchas gracias, Werner.
Walikiwa, Gilatas Cuyacas, Alpachmundo, Alpacha Marcanaca, es el Arica Nativa, todo el mundo son nativa. El Alpachanero, Humanagar Arunta, Tropero, Sataste, Ma Caminante, Jacteo Sarana, Alcua Sutipao Sarteja Tropero. Ese es, y también Gilata Herzog, también Ma Arunta Osma, Soma Comantave, Humagar Portanta, acá Arica Nativa Uñanteri, Comaraki. Wa país amansa utpajawa nativaste suma apnaqtañataki acá cine nativa ugaste siwa haya marcanaka han uñijat marcanaka apnaqtatawa kaste suma apnaqtatawa nanakaste uka apnaqtapqa acá Arica Nativa piste suma uñantañataki. Y los saludo a lo que estamos conversando. Bienvenido a todo el mundo indígena, es Arica Nativa, es lo que estamos haciendo, 15 años que estamos cumpliendo. Yo soy lo que estoy fundando este festival, todo lo que somos nativos, todo el mundo hay nativos. El idioma, lo que estoy hablando en aymara es nativo, la lengua aymara. También les saludo a todo Herzog, también a todo el mundo, a todo el país, a todos los que nos están viendo. Le felicito, le agradezco, muchas gracias. Hayaya. Hayaya.
Hayaya.
Thank you very much. How wonderful to listen to your voice.
Waliki.
And by magical powers that are there, like in Star Trek, you have beamed the award to me, and here it shows up.
Ese es el tropero, ese es caminante.
Yes, it has traveled beamed. It has been beamed from Arica to Los Angeles.
Ese es lo que...
Thank you very, very much. I'm very proud for this year.
Ese tropero siempre caminaba a una persona lo que están caminando. A otro pueblo significa el tropero. Ese es el cargado, su carga, esos son lo que significa el tropero. El duelo.
Yo soy uno de los hombres que todavía andan a pie largas distancias a veces. Y muchas gracias también para este poncho. Muy, muy, muy lindo y muy bonito. Alpaca. Como me gustaría encontrar a todos ustedes en su país. Gracias, gracias.
Le invitamos al año que viene el festival. Invitamos, llegas acá en Arica y este tiempo que vamos a hacer una Festival Arica Nativa, le estamos invitando a todos los que son presentes, los invitamos a todos. Y también ese poncho ese es construir el nativo, ese ha hecho el pueblo indígena, ese le han hecho ese poncho, ese son naturales en ese poncho. Esos son bonitos, también los paisajes nosotros son importantes, esos bonitos paisajes tenemos. Igual que ustedes tienen paisajes lindos, igualitos son. Gracias.
Thank you everybody.
Bueno, con las palabras de don Mario y esta unión de todas estas culturas, nos encontramos y vamos finalizando ya esta maravillosa charla con Werner Herzog y también junto a Ariel León, que ha sido quien nos ha podido acompañar también y desarrollar todo este encuentro. Agradecer muchísimo a Werner. Te damos pequeños minutos para que puedas despedirte de la audiencia que ha estado tan atento a todo lo que han estado conversando. Por favor, Ariel y Werner, despídanse de su público.
Werner, you want to start?
I do not understand what I should do here.
Say a few words of goodbye to everybody who were listening to us and were present, fascinated.
I'm astonished that I hear voices and questions from Cusco, Valparaiso, all places that I love. And I have no idea how far we are reaching out. But what is important that we are reaching into our own cultures. That all of a sudden in a conference like this, we hear somebody speaking in his language, in Aymara, and how beautiful it sounds and how naturally it gives us an impression of a very deep culture, ancient and deep and wonderful and creative. And of course, we are only here in a virtual world. I would like to be with you, have a good meal with you, sing with you a song, and things like that. So, but we have to wait until probably next year when we can do it for real. So I wish you all the best for the festival. I'm very proud that I'm invited, and I'm very proud Gran Tropero.
Thank you. From my side, I just want to thank you, Werner, for taking the time and really be a part of it. I know it's important for Chile. I know it's important for the Altiplano organization and for the festival. And of course, for all the public that was here from all over the world, because I see messages from Israel, USA, Canada, and also South America. I couldn't choose more questions due to the time. So I apologize for everybody that had more questions and we couldn't answer. I know usually Werner likes to answer all the questions like he did when he was in the University La Católica 2 years ago. It was very late when we left there because he answered every single question. And I want to thank Daniela, the producer, and Magdalena, the founder, for having me as well. So thank you very much and have a great evening and a great weekend.
Muchísimas gracias a ustedes. Que estén muy bien. Un abrazo desde Arica. Bueno, con esta emocionante despedida de Werner Herzog y también nuestro compañero y amigo productor, ¿no?, Ariel León, nos despedimos de esta charla finalizando este viernes, pero nos quedan un montón de cosas. Esta es nuestra segunda semana de festival. Les recuerdo que ya están disponibles en nuestra página web todas las películas en competencia de este año y que se pueden inscribir en todos nuestros talleres, charlas y encuentros. Si pueden, no olviden, por supuesto, apoyar a nuestra comunidad de ganadera de General Lagos en aricanativa.cl/ayuda. Nos vemos en unos minutos más en nuestra fiesta de la conservación. No se la pierdan, donde compartiremos música local y en exclusiva el concierto para Arica Nativa del cantante nacional Jepe. Recuerden seguir todo nuestro programa en www.aricanativa.cl. Aún nos quedan días. Suyaña, esperanza. Muchas gracias.
Dormí poco anoche. Soñé que me escapaba, que llegaba a una isla. Arica Nativa.
Disfruta de todas las actividades del 15 Festival de Películas Nativas, del 6 al 15 de noviembre en www.aricanativa.cl.